What's up, YouTube, man? How's everybody doing? You guys already know what we do in this channel, man. We check out scary and creepy TikToks, man. TikToks are gonna give you chills. That's gonna make you question reality, question everything, raise your vibrations, anything and everything you can find right here on this channel, bro. Got a good one for you guys today, man. Like I said, sometimes these TikToks be getting harder and harder to find, but I always manage to end up finding a good one for y'all. So stop on in.
From Japan, in which a group of friends meet at a bar and notice a mysterious woman staring at them.
What the hell? Okay. What the hell is it? She looks
They
weird,
then
bro.
arrive at a subway station where the woman is following them.
She's following them too? Oh, hell no, bro. She's not even moving, bro. What the f? That looks like a damn man or something. What the hell? Is that like a spirit or something? What the f?
After what just happened, the group is distraught, but if you look back at the tracks, this is what you will find.
Oh, no, bro.
I
Don't do
killed my
that.
mother since I was 8 years old.
No, you goddamn piece of punk ass shit! Do not mess with that friggin' kid! If you do, I'll rip off your goddamn head and so far up your friggin' ass, you'll be coughing up dandruff for 4 friggin' months!
Yeah, these are definitely, I guess, signs and stuff you gotta look at.
Look, I don't care what you say. If you ever touch him again, I will freaking kill you. I'm gonna pull out a goddamn shotgun
with the
and blow your damn
Columbine
head
shooters,
off.
bro?
Do you understand, you little worthless piece of crap?
To hear the full story of the Columbine massacre, go listen to the podcast I co-host with my
Columbine,
fiance, Murder in America. The link is in the bio of my TikTok. Listen on Spotify.
Those videos that we get on some weird vibes, bro.
And thank you guys for all the support and love you've given us recently.
That's insane, bro. You never know, man.
This is a photo that was found on the ground outside of a convenience store in Florida in June 15th of 1989. And that picture to this day has still gone unidentified. They said that this is not your daughter. They did some type of forensic examination of the photo, and they came to the conclusion that that was not her daughter. The boy in the photo was thought to be this kid named Michael Henley, who went missing also in 1988, which was a year before. And if you look at these pictures side by side, you can see where the similarities come in, but once again, the cop said that's not him. What's crazy is that neither Michael nor Sarah have ever been found, and that picture to this day has still gone unidentified. It has never been
identified. And they never found them, bro.
Almost 40 years later.
Damn.
There's the legend of the girl with the guy in the back of her car. There's this urban legend that there's this girl driving home from work late at night. She's driving on like a 2-lane road. She notices this car behind her that has been behind her since she left work.
Okay, so
And
she's
the car
picking
keeps
up
like tailgating her, getting up super close to her. He's turning on his brights every 15 seconds. He even hits the back of her car, so she's terrified, right? Yeah. So she eventually drives to a police station, gets out of her car, and just runs straight in, right? So she tells the cops, this guy has been following me, like I'm freaked out, I don't know what's going on. They go outside, ask this guy, why have you been following this girl, what's going on? And that's when he says, I was following this girl because there was a guy in the back of her car. He had a knife, and every time I would
trying to
hit
protect
her
her.
or turn on my brights, it's because he was raising up to stab her. Whenever I did it, he would duck back down. Cops were like, yeah, okay, whatever. So then they go and check the car, and they find rope, tape, and a knife in her backseat. So the guy saved her life.
Right before the Columbine massacre began, did you know that one of the shooters actually let somebody that he had threatened before in the past live? The student that Eric Harris allowed to survive was a guy by the name of Brooks Brown. You can see him right here in a school photo with Eric Harris standing right behind him.
Okay.
Eric and Brooks were friends before the massacre, but in the past, Eric had actually threatened Brooks on his website.
Wow.
You see, Eric had this website where he would rant about life, write really dark things, and provide instructions on how to create chaos.
That ain't
And
good.
at one point on his website, Eric actually threatened to kill Brooks, and Brooks' father reported it to the police, but the police never looked into it. The morning of the shooting, only moments before the violence began, Brooks ran into Eric outside the school, and Eric told Brooks to go home, thus saving his life. Brooks is alive and well today, and he speaks frequently about the massacre. If you want to hear the full story of Columbine and play-by-play of that day and some reasoning behind why it happened, go listen to our podcast, Murder in America. I co-host it with my fiance. This is our latest episode. The link is in my bio. You can listen on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And thank you.
All this info, man.
The show The Watcher on Netflix is scary, and it's based on a true story. Let's take a deep dive.
Okay.
So if you've seen the show before, it's basically about a family that moves into a house in New Jersey and someone watches them, aka stalks them, harasses the family, all that.
All right.
This is the house that the story originally came from in real life, 657 Boulevard in Westfield, New Jersey. The show follows the fictional Brannick family, pictured here, who are based on the real-life Broaddus family, pictured right here.
All right.
So basically, in 2014, this family, the Broadduses, they purchased the house at 657 Boulevard in Westfield for $1.3 million.
Damn.
And they were getting all their ducks in line and getting ready to move into the house when they received the first letter from a phantom man named The Watcher.
Okay.
Here's some of the text from the original letter. He says, "My grandfather watched the house in the 20s, my father watched it in the 60s, now it's my time." And the family continued to receive these mysterious letters until they became threatening.
Damn.
Also, part 2 soon, so follow if you want to hear more.
And
Have you ever heard of the case of Angela Hammond? No, can't say I have. This is honestly one of the scariest cases I have ever researched. Okay. So Angela Hammond, she was a mother from Clinton, Missouri. So in 1991, she was at a grocery store, and you know, back then the general public didn't have cell phones. So she was standing like right outside of her car on the phone, on the payphone with her fiance. Her fiance, his name was Rob, right? So she was on the phone with Rob, whatever. And then she told Rob, she was like, this weird car keeps circling around, like driving back and forth. And he was telling her, like, just get out of there, like, don't even worry about it. Eventually, Rob hears on the phone Angela say he came back. And then she hears a man say, get out of your car. I guess she had tried to, like, get in the car. And then he hears Angela scream, and the call is ended. So Rob, freaking out, was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do except go there and try to get her, right? So Rob drives across town to get there. He ends up hearing somebody screaming his name driving across from him. This is the craziest part. Rob turns around, hits a U-turn, starts pursuing this truck. His transmission goes out. The car gets away, and he has never seen his wife again. There have been zero leads as to what happened to Angela Hammond ever since then.
Bro.
So whatever happened to Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment at the Oxford Apartments? If you don't remember, this is where Jeffrey Dahmer was eventually caught, and this is where they found all of the gruesome discoveries associated with Jeffrey Dahmer.
All right.
It's absolutely eerie to look at photos of his apartment
this is insane,
and consider what they found in there. But what happened to the building, the Oxford Apartments building?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, after investigators discovered what they did in Jeffrey's apartment, the place was stained forever. And so shortly after all this happened, the apartments, the entire complex, they were demolished.
Okay.
And nowadays, all that's left is this patch of grass where the apartments once stood.
Damn.
It's got to be eerie living in one of these units and knowing exactly what happened right here.
I couldn't do it.
I actually went and filmed a whole Jeffrey Dahmer documentary where we visited the old Oxford Apartments area and investigated for paranormal activity. Let me tell you, that place is loaded with energy.
Okay.
At one point, using our devices, we captured what looked like bodies laying on the ground, like 3 or 4 of them.
What?
And I think at one point, using one of our devices, we literally heard the voice of Jeffrey Dahmer coming through. I'm not kidding. I know that sounds really extreme, but you have to listen to the video and just
check that out,
see
bro.
what I'm talking about. Anyway,
if that's
it's called The
not.
Ghost of Jeffrey Dahmer. If you want to look it up and learn more about the Jeffrey Dahmer story. And my wife and I actually did a whole Dahmer series on our podcast, Murder in America, if you want to listen to what I'm talking about.
Let's have to check it out, bro. What the hell? What's that? What? How is she doing back and forth like that? Oh no, this is different, bro. What the hell? just trying to mess with him, bro. Okay, what the hell is that? Why's the light flickering, bro? That's that weird energy cup we gotta look out for, bro. The little girl. Who's she talking to? They're trying to take it from her, bro. The hell? Why is that bitch on this damn little girl?
I've been ghost hunting for the last 10 years. Sometimes
okay, so been doing this for a minute.
Happen that you can't fully explain.
Alright.
This journey that I'm on is for knowledge, not for fame. And we've put ourselves on the line many times in the quest to get those answers. I've made a lot of friends along the way and worked with some of the world's most renowned paranormal experts. But sometimes things happen that still scare me.
Damn,
I didn't realize what was going to happen that night. I didn't fully understand what we were dealing with. But it turns out it was darker and more powerful than we could have imagined. And it still scares me.
I'd like to welcome you all officially to the West Virginia State Penitentiary.
So this is where the electric chair would have been.
Yes.
Old Sparky? What the hell they named
His
me?
head exploded like a pumpkin.
Damn.
That's a good start for your night, That was the room that was known more infamously as the sugar shack. They take his severed head, set it up in the window.
Tonight on the Paranormal Files, we're at one of the most violent places in America. This is a historic prison with an extremely bloody past.
You in front of us, we'd love to have you come and talk to us.
Looks like it's climbing the fence.
I
feel like cold, dude.
Felt like chills, bro?
Alright, down to the hole. Let's do it.
Oh crap. They checked out that whole place, bro? The most haunted prison in America. Damn. What the They had severed heads in a window? What the hell? This is my first time hearing about this. Oh, again or something, bro? I guess I've been hearing rumors and stuff, but I kind of didn't believe until I guess now.
I'm going to warn everybody right now, the case that we're about to cover is easily one of the most disturbing true crime stories I've ever heard in my life, so viewer discretion is really advised for this one.
Alright, what happened?
This is Kevin Davis. He was 18 years old back in 2014 when this horrific event took place.
Damn.
Kevin lived here in Corpus Christi, Texas, and shared an apartment with his mother, Kimberly, and his sister, Destiny.
Alright.
On May 26, 2014, Kevin snapped. He had been having homicidal thoughts for a long time, but on that particular day, he decided to bring his dreams and his fantasies into reality.
Damn.
On that morning, Kevin told his mother, Kimberly, that he wanted to unalive himself, and she told him that she couldn't stop him if he wanted to.
What?
After hearing this unexpected response from his mother, Kevin went into a rage. He grabbed a cord and attempted to strangle his mother on the couch where she was sitting. But his mom, Kimberly, managed to fight him off, and in a panic, Kevin went into the other room and grabbed a hammer. Now, this is where it gets really disturbing, so if you're still here with me and you have a weak stomach, don't keep listening. Kevin then bashed his own mother's skull in with the hammer, hitting her at least 20 times.
Damn.
And he then grabbed a knife from the kitchen and inserted the knife into the head wound. At that point, Kimberly's head was opened up, she had a massive head wound, and her brain was exposed. And Kevin stuck his hand into his own mother's head and played with her brains. He later told detectives that it felt like putty. Now, after his mother was dead, Kevin dragged her corpse into another room and which is unbelievably shocking and disgusting.
What the
After all this was said and done, he went to a neighbor's house, told them to call 911, told them that he had just murdered someone.
Whatever you want to call him.
He was arrested without incident.
No.
When Kevin ultimately arrived at the police station, he was brutally honest with investigators about his crimes. I listened to the entire interrogation, and I cannot unhear some of the things that he told investigators. It's vile and shocking. But at one point, he smiles at the investigators with a little grin and says, "Yes, I guess I lost mine to a corpse." After his trial, he was handed down a sentence of life in prison.
No,
he's still alive. He's still in Texas right now, and he even admitted to investigators that if he was given the chance, if he were out on the street again, he would kill again.
What?
I'm sorry to have to fill your guys' minds with this stuff, but this is a
disgusting,
truly disturbing case that I can't
is.
stop thinking about because of how horrific it is, and yeah, I cannot believe that this happened.
How young is the world's youngest serial killer? 20? 18?
The world's youngest serial killer?
This age reveal at the end of the story will shock you. Amarjit Sadah killed 3 people in separate incidences between 2006 and 2007, including 2 family members. This story takes place in India, and we're going to start in 2007 with a missing baby.
Alright.
A young woman had left her 6-month-old baby in the care of a primary school, and when she had come back, the baby was missing. Now, of course, immediately this baby's family was frantic, and they all began pointing fingers at one individual.
Which was?
Amarjit Sadah.
Amarjit
Reported
Sadah.
as having said they knew he had a dark streak and he was not like the other boys his age. Villagers called the police and said, "You need to speak to this boy." And the police initially dismissed them, saying,
"Oh yeah."
I'm saying, "There's no way a boy that young is going to know anything about that missing baby."
Yeah.
Ultimately, the police listened to the villagers.
If he's that young, yeah, nobody here would believe
his
that.
parents were hesitant to let him speak to the police. And the disturbing fact is, the reason the parents were hesitant to let their son speak to the police was because they already knew that the boy had killed his cousin and his baby sister.
What? And they were covering it up?
The police involved with that, even knowing what their son had done, because it was a family matter. But eventually, after pressure from the police, Sadah's parents did let him speak to the police.
Okay.
And it was at this point that Amarjit Sadah admitted to the police what he had done. While in police custody, Amarjit was very cool, very collected, even asked for a biscuit at one point before telling the police
he knew he was a damn monster.
The daycare where the baby was sleeping, took the baby out of the crib and out into the woods where he brutally beat her with a brick and strangled her. He also admitted to having killed his 8-month-old baby sister in the same fashion, as well as his 6-year-old cousin.
What? He killed his sister and his cousin?
Was one of the family members who kept Sadah's crimes under
wraps. And
wraps.
the father kept it under wraps?
Loyalty was obviously a big deal in the Sadah family. But again, with the outcry for this baby infant to be found, they could no longer keep a lid on this, and the monster that this boy was came to light. And the shocking truth is, this boy was only 7 years old.
7?
This young boy was a certifiable psychopath.
At 7 years old, we caught 3 bodies, bro.
Had zero remorse for what he had done, and had taken a chilling delight in the pain that he caused these children before he ultimately killed them.
Doesn't matter. I guess it don't matter how old you are, bro.
Sentenced to death or to even be jailed, and so he was put into a children's home until he turned 18. Sadah was released, and to this day he is unaccounted for and on the loose. I spent a weekend with one of the most notorious killers in Texas. So in my early 20s, I spent a lot of time in South Texas in women's prisons units, helping people find forgiveness and second chances at life. Now, on this one particular weekend, when we arrived, the correctional officers informed our team that there was a new inmate on the premises. She was only 17 years old and had been tried and convicted as an adult for a very violent crime. And because I was the youngest person on our prison team, they voted me to be the one to work with her because she was young, I was young, and she might relate to me and open up to me. I had a rule for myself when I worked with these women to never look up their crimes. I didn't want it to affect my judgment about them or to affect
the one that assessed them fairly.
So that was just a rule that I always kept. So the correctional officers, they walked me down this long corridor into a classroom where sitting at the table was Erin Caffey. Erin Caffey is a tiny thing. Now, I'm a tiny person, and I dwarfed her. She's very small, very soft-spoken, rarely will look you in the eye. And my first thought whenever I lay eyes on her and I sit down across from her is, how can somebody this small
be in a place like this
possibly be convicted as an adult for a violent crime?
What
violence is she possibly capable of? Little did I know. We started talking, and we kind of started to get to know each other a little bit. We cracked a few jokes. I tried to get her to lighten up. And Eventually, she did start kind of opening up to me, and she started volunteering some details about her version of what had happened the night of her crime.
Okay.
And I have to admit, you know, even though I had a rule to really try not to know what people had done, I was very curious because, again, here's this tiny little thing. She's 17 years old, scared to death, and she's in this facility. And, well, her version of the events that took place the night of the crime led me to believe that she was a victim in all of it, and that it was really out of her hands. She couldn't stop it, and she's haunted by it, regrets it every day of her life, and she just wishes she could take it all back. And y'all, she was so convincing, just absolutely convincing, that I truly believed that she was innocent. She had somehow gotten mixed up with the wrong crowd, was wrongly convicted. And I started brainstorming in my head, like, how can I raise awareness about this and help her get out? Little did I know, in my naivety, that this young lady was a psychopath. She was very cunning, very manipulative, and the small, mousy, timid, soft-spoken thing was very much a calculated tactic to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. And my time with her started a long season of my life of panic attacks and nightmares, and I'm going to tell you more about that in part 2. The story of this American female serial killer will make your hair stand up. As if her crimes are not horrific enough, she earned the nickname the Giggling Granny.
The Giggling
Creepy
Granny.
as that. Nanny Doss was raised on a farm by a very controlling father, and one of the few joys that she had in life was sneaking into her mother's room and reading her romance novels, and she would daydream about the day that she'd be swept off her feet and have her happily ever after. And she got married to her first husband at the age of 16, and it was a miserable marriage. The couple had 4 daughters together, 2 of which mysteriously died of food poisoning, at which point the husband took one remaining daughter and fled because he was scared to death of Nanny. The remaining infant baby named Florine was left with Nanny, and Nanny picked up and married somebody new. Now, this man was an alcoholic, but despite that, they were married 16 years and raised Florine together. This is where the bloodbath really begins. Nanny was in the room right after her daughter Melvina had given birth to her second grandchild, and while Melvina was still loopy from the labor drugs and she was exhausted, she could have sworn that she saw Nanny stick a hat pin in the baby's head. Melvina kind of passed out and went back to sleep, but when she came to, she started asking her family members, did Nanny have a hat pin and stick the baby in the head? And the family regretted to inform Melvina that the baby had in fact died, and yes, they did see Nanny holding a hat pin. However, the doctors couldn't give a positive explanation for the baby's death. The death of the baby absolutely shattered Melvina and her husband, and they started fighting and drifting apart, and Melvina started dating a soldier named Robert, who Nanny did not approve of. And one night when Melvina was out of the house and Robert was left alone with Nanny, Robert mysteriously died, and Nanny received $500 in life insurance that she had taken out on Robert a couple weeks earlier. Not long after that, Nanny's husband forced himself on her, and she didn't like that, so she put rat poison in his corn whiskey jar, and he died that night. Nanny married her third husband only 3 days after meeting him, and he died shortly after this of heart failure. She picked up some life insurance, bought some land, and built a new house. Her late third husband left behind a mother and a bedridden sister who also died shortly after. At this point, Nanny burned the house down, took that life insurance money, and moved on. Then Nanny landed a fourth husband, and at this point, her mom moved in with him. She found out that her husband was cheating, so she poisoned him to death, and for good measure, she poisoned her mom to death, too. Then she married her a fifth man named Samuel Doss, who was very disapproving of the romance novels that she loved to read. He went to the hospital one night with flu-like symptoms and was diagnosed with a severe digestive tract infection. He was treated and sent home. And a few days later, he showed up dead. The doctors were very suspicious of this, so they did an autopsy and found enough arsenic in his system to kill 20 men. Nanny was arrested shortly after this and confessed to killing 4 of her husbands, her mother-in-law, her mother, her sister, her sister-in-law, and yes, sadly, even the baby with the hat pin.
She was catching all those damn bodies, bro. She's a damn menace, bro. The Giggling Granny. What the? What the hell did she just slip on?
This is Peter Scully, one of the worst pedophiles in world history.
Oh, man.
I'm about to tell you his story, but seriously, guys, this one is incredibly disturbing. It's so dark, and viewer discretion is really advised for this video. So Peter Scully, he's still alive. He was from Australia. He had a family there, but he was engaging in criminal activities, and he eventually fled the country and moved to the Philippines. And this is where the darkness really began. While he was in Australia, Peter Scully started up a international child sex abuse ring. The things that were done to these kids are... I can't even talk about them here on TikTok, but he also started up a pay-per-view video service.
Oh my
god. With these videos, he was producing CP, but one of the most extreme forms of CP that can possibly be produced. So how did all this happen? Well, when he was out living in the Philippines, Peter Scully had 2 Filipina girlfriends. They would go out to the streets, they would find kids that needed money or looked impoverished, they would bring them back to the house they shared with Peter, and the things that went on afterwards are literally unspeakable. Remember, like I mentioned before, Peter was the head of an international ring of people that enjoyed the abuse of kids, and he provided videos for these clients. But his most infamous video was titled Daisy's Destruction. This video that he produced was so extreme, so hardcore that people on the internet, when they heard about what happened in the video, literally thought that it was an urban legend, and they thought that there was no way this could be real. This is an actual screenshot of the beginning of the video. This is a screenshot from the very beginning of the video. In the video, 3 young girls are repeatedly tortured for hours and hours on end by Peter Scully and his 2 girlfriends from the Philippines. They are beaten, they are sexually abused. I mean, I can't even describe, like I said on TikTok, some of the things that happened in this video.
You just can't,
An 18-month-old Daisy. Now, keep in mind that all of this was on camera. That's the most disturbing part of this. One of Peter's victims actually ended up dying. They were buried in his house.
Oh my gosh,
and
bro.
This sick individual literally sold that video footage across the world. And what's even more disturbing is that there were lots of people willing to pay to see that video.
What?
I'm not kidding. People were paying $10,000 to view this video. That is
people who bought those videos. They gotta go too, bro.
That sick out there in the world.
They gotta go too.
And this is only the beginning of the crimes that this guy carried out. Some of the other stuff that we're gonna touch on is absolutely disgusting. It's just horrific. And the story of how Peter Scully was eventually identified and arrested is extremely captivating. I'm going to run out of time here on this video, but if you want to see part 2, let me know below. The story is far from over.
You gotta hear that, bro. Dangerous portals, luckily around. What the? Is that an edit or is that real, bro? See that black energy out there? Knife disappearing out of nowhere. What the?
I spent 2 days in a Texas prison with one of the most notorious killers in America. And y'all, those 2 days started 10 years of living hell for me.
Damn,
I've shared parts of this story before on TikTok, but I'm going to go into some details that I haven't shared before and the long-term effects that it has had on me. I was working one time with this inmate, and she was 17 years old, had been tried and convicted as an adult. She was in an adult prison for masterminding and participating in the slaughter of her entire family. Her dad was the one survivor, but unfortunately her mother and 2 younger brothers did not survive the attack. And this weekend, as I'm working with her, I had never met her before, and I had not heard her story, and so she was able to take me for a ride, basically telling me the version of the story she wanted me to hear. And what I didn't know is that she is a psychopath. And she was getting sick pleasure out of toying with me, watching my emotional responses, and just seeing what she could get away with. And I was totally sucked in. I totally was buying everything she was telling me. And I felt pretty safe around her because she was a small, petite person. But the moment that everything in the room changed was whenever she was looking down. She really wasn't even looking at me. She was just kind of looking down and talking real soft like this. All of a sudden, she just does this. And y'all, when she looked up at me that way, there was a black darkness in her eyes that I have never seen in anybody before. And it scared the shit out of me. I suddenly felt extremely vulnerable, like I was in a predatory environment, and I was not safe. I was clearly shaken. I finished my work, got out of there, but I had to come back the next day to work with her for a second.
Hell no, just be like, I can do it.
The second day that I worked with her, I'm coming into the same prison space that we were working in the day before, and I see her from a distance, and what I saw still shakes me to this day. Now, you're going to think I'm crazy or that I'm one of those religious kooky people that constantly hallucinates like demonic spiritual things. I'm not. I'm not the kind of person who sees things, but this day I saw something. I'm looking at this girl from down a ways, and she looks at me, and her face just goes hollow. Her eyes go black and sunken in, almost like I'm looking at a skeletal version of her.
Damn.
And the only thing that I can explain it is that maybe there was something evil around her that almost was standing between me and her, and I was seeing through this thing. And it was a way of me seeing that there is evil around her and that I need to be cautious. But y'all listen, this 2-day weekend with her started 10 years of nightmares, panic attacks, sleep paralysis, seeing shadow figures in my room. To this day, I have had hauntings and unexplained poltergeists in every place I've lived.
Damn,
I'm talking
bro.
about things being knocked into the floor,
That video must show that bad?
shelves, hearing people crawling around in my living room at night when I'm sleeping in the bedroom above. I wasn't much of a believer in the paranormal before I worked with her, but trust me, it made a believer out of me.
Mm-hmm. That's insane, bro.
Mom, can you just pass my drink that's on the table, please?
What the hell is coming out that door, bro?
Thanks.
What the f... What the hell is that, bro? What the heck?
This is Jimmy Saville, one of the worst pedophiles in world history. Let me warn you, this is a really disturbing story, so viewer discretion is advised.
What the hell is
Jimmy Saville was an English DJ, radio and television personality, and a very, very famous entertainer. Jimmy came from practically nothing and became a superstar in England. When he was younger, during World War II, he worked in coal mines, but he eventually started wrestling and then DJing, and that's where he really rose to fame. Now, people in England loved Jimmy Saville. During his illustrious career, he was knighted by the Queen herself.
Really?
He was known to be great friends with the royal family. He also hosted a number of huge British television shows like Top of the Pops, and he had his own kids show called Jim Will Fix It.
Jim Will Fix It?
When Jimmy died in 2011, the country of England mourned him. They were really sad to see him go. But that's also when all of these accusations
started coming up after he died.
Soon people knew the truth about Jimmy Saville, and he was not a good guy.
Damn.
When Jimmy was alive, he was known to be charitable, and he worked at hospitals and volunteered his time helping with sick kids and young adults. But this is how he got access to his victims, by acting like the nice guy. And in his time on Earth, Jimmy Saville sexually abused over 400 kids and young adults. He would literally seek out children in their weakest states when they were in the hospital recovering from operations, and that's when he would abuse them. But something that I find extremely disturbing about this whole story is that everybody around Jimmy Saville knew that he was a pedophile,
and they didn't do
no
nothing
one was
about
reporting it. In the hospitals that he volunteered at, nurses would literally tell the children to act like they were asleep when Jimmy was around because they feared what he would do to them. Friends of Jimmy's would make jokes about him being a pedophile in their comedy routines. Even powerful people at the BBC knew that Jimmy Saville was sexually assaulting children, hundreds of children, but they did nothing. You see, he was worth too much. He was too valuable to them. And they needed him to make as much money for them as possible. One particularly gruesome and sick thing that emerged about Jimmy Saville after he died was that he used to go to the morgue in these hospitals. He would actually have sex with dead bodies. He would also move the bodies around in the morgue, pose them, and take photos of them laughing while he was doing this. And one nurse even reported watching Jimmy Saville wheel around the dead body of a 4-year-old child in a stroller. Yeah, this guy was incredibly twisted, and he affected so many people's lives. And another sad part of this story is that Jimmy Saville never really had to face any sort of repercussions for his actions while he was alive. When he died as a beloved public figure, somebody that people looked up to and adored. But behind closed doors, Jimmy Saville was a sexual deviant, a pedophile, and just a horrible human being. There is so much to this story, I'm telling you, I couldn't even cover this whole story in 10 TikToks, but if you want me to go into more details about all of this, let me know and I'll post a part 2. Because this is literally only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Jimmy Saville and some of the horrible and atrocious things that he did while he was alive.
I have to check out part 2, man. YouTube, that's it, man, for this video for you guys today, man. Like I said at the end of these clips, bro, like I said, it's always up to you guys to decide, is it fake or is it reality? Man, like I said, bro, I'm bringing you guys this content, man. In order to support the channel, I just need you guys to hit that like button, subscribe, so we could grow our community together, man. I kind of want to have a name for our community, but I don't have any names yet. So actually, tell me in the comment section down below, guys, who do you guys think that we should name our community. I'm going in with you guys together, so it's only for you guys to have an input. You guys can catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.